Today we're going to be tying the TroutFlies Sowbug. So this is a super simple but super effective pattern. Our local tailwaters here in Utah are full of Sowbugs, especially the Provo and the Weber. I tend to tie this fly on when there's no major hatch going on, or I feel like the fish aren't keyed in on anything and just being opportunistic. They'll always eat a Sowbug year round. This fly's simple. It's 3 materials. It's lead-free wire, Sow-scud dubbing, and some UV here. So to get started, I've got a Daiichi 1120 hook. This one's a size 16. We're going to start by taking some 015 lead-free wire. And for this particular hook, I like to make exactly 14 wraps. So just get our wire started on the hook and try and get the tag end pressed against the hook. So we're at 4, 5, 6, 7. Nope, we're not holding it in place. That's 4, 5, 6, 7, and then kind of push them together. 10, 11, 12, 11. And push them together to make room. 12, 13, 14. So push them together and then wiggle it off. And then kind of place the wire, give it about a hook eye length back from the hook eye. That looks about good. For thread, I've got UTC 70 Denier in burnt orange. So let's get the thread started up near the eye. And we're just going to build a short little thread dam here, trying not to push the wire too far down the shank of the hook. And I leave my tag end attached. I don't snip it off yet because I bring it across the wire and use it to help transport my thread across the wire so it doesn't really dig in. I don't want to lock the wire in place because I'm going to build a thread dam behind the wire that will push kind of the set back forward a little bit. So once we have that thread dam built up, then we can snip off the tag end. And by 3 materials, I meant 4. Because we also use a strip of black Flashabou for the bloodline. So that's our next step, is to get the camera. Tie in the strip of Flashabou. Try and keep it centered in the middle so you can kind of pull on it and make sure it's centered as you tie it in. And then just cover up these wire wraps. They don't need to be completely covered, just try and get the shine off of them a little bit. Next we take some rainbow Sow-scud dubbing. We want like a medium thick dubbing rope here. We want a little bit of taper, so try and build in a little bit of taper to your dubbing ropes. This does use quite a bit of dubbing, so we'll have to create a few of these. Once you have your rope going, just start covering up your work. Trying to build a taper in. We're gonna pull a lot of this dubbing out. That's kind of like the little kind of fuzzy sides of the sow bugs. So we need to put some material on the hook so we can pull some of it out later. So just keep building up your body until you get to the end of the wire wraps. I'm still trying to build a bit of a taper in. If you look at Sowbugs, they're kind of oval shaped, so if you can build that ovalness into the fly, it'll be a little bit better proportioned. Let's see, is that enough? That may not quite be enough to finish. Pretty close. Might add a touch more. No, that was okay. Just gotta feel it out sometimes. See if we can make this a little bit tighter of a rope so we give ourselves some. Alright, that looks pretty good. So once we have our body built up, we come in here with some pliers and just kind of flatten it out. We want the Sowbug to be wider than it is tall. Just how they're shaped. Just gonna be a little gentle, but flatten out the body. This will help when we put the UV clear on it, so it'll soak in a little bit more uniform. It's an important step, don't skip it. Next we take our Flashabou and put it right over the middle. We want that bloodline. So get it over the middle and then hold it in place. Then we want to build up a bit of a head. So the stuff is slippery, so we fold it back on itself and cover it up and then snip it off. Then go in and make a 5 or 6 turn whip finish while still building up a nice little head on the bug. Good. Keep the knot and then snip off your thread. Next I take just a little bit of head cement and put it on the thread wraps to add some durability into our finish here. Let it soak in. We'll make a nice shiny little head there. So that's what our Sowbug looks like right now. Next, take your bodkin and just start picking out some of that dubbing straight, like perpendicular to the length of the body. So this is why we didn't want to be too conservative with our dubbing use. It's because we want to be able to pick out enough of this stuff along the length while also having enough dub to still keep like a full looking body. So just take your time with this, try and keep it fairly uniform. Little light back here. Not a ton of dub to pick out. It's important also to try and keep your dubbing as flat on top as possible, so don't let it get too bushy on top. You just want it to be picked out straight along the sides. See how there's not too much fuzziness going on up top? It's important because it'll help when we put the cure on the body. So that looks pretty good. Just something like that. Next we take some Loon UV clear. This is the thin. We want like enough to build up a body but have it soak through the dubbing. And we'll finish with a layer of thick on top which doesn't soak through, so it'll add that kind of smooth shell-like texture. This is not going to be smooth when it goes into the body. We just need to fill it out a little bit. Just go in here. Just add enough that'll start to soak through while not getting into the parts we plucked out. It'll kind of look like that. And then cure it up. So now that's cured but pretty rough looking. If you don't mind the roughness, you can stop there because this will fish for sure. But if you want it to look a little bit nicer, and just make the Sowbugs are smooth, so if you want to smooth out the top of them, you just add another layer of the stick. Right on top of your thin layer. So as you can see, that's a lot smoother. And then cure it up. So you can see we haven't built up too much of a big shell on the back, so the proportions are still pretty good. But look, you can see with that nice smooth finish, you can see the bloodline and all the little dubbing particles in the fly. You can also, some of that orange also shows through, which when the sow bugs are dying, they kind of have that orange color to them. So looks pretty realistic. Anyway, the last step here is to just go in with some scissors and even off these legs while still trying to maintain the rough shape of the bug. So I just do a few even cuts to try and get the legs kind of even looking like that, and then I go in and do some final shaping on them. Clean everything up. And then the last step is to go straight under. Since these are pretty flat, you don't want too much bugginess below. So just any fibers that manage to get underneath the fly, I just kind of snip out. So now it'll lie kind of like that flat oval shape that sow bugs are. Looks like we got one fiber going crazy here. But that's my sow bug. It's a good one. I encourage you to tie up a few of these and try them out on our local waters. There's only a few ways you can tie a sow bug, and this is similar to a lot of other patterns, but sorry, these are similar to a lot of the other patterns, but this is a way I like to tie mine. So give this one a try.